Good evening. Assalamu alaikum and heartiest welcome to all professionals at LinkedIn and a big hi from MESHRM LinkedIn Live. Human race has survived world wars, pandemics like plague, Spanish flu, Great Depression, which totally transformed the basic DNA of economics, social norms, and geopolitical pattern of the world. These catastrophes and historical incidents sadly caused huge death tolls. The basic fabric of society got changed, businesses faced extreme stress to a breakpoint, and nations' economics got totally transformed. On the contrary, we as a human race have still endured with resilience and have come out better than ever before. Corona pandemic, the age of COVID-19 is pushing us to yet another change cycle. All of us, from political leaders, business owners, shareholders, management staff, and employees and their families are facing new level of stress, and some of the business have reached a break point of no return. At this juncture, the business leaders and HR functions must realize that business regeneration and recovery is possible only if there is a collective effort to bring the business to new normal and return back to better than past glories. Today, for 30 minutes, we'll be doing a brainstorming. Esther, if you could, and Shubhu. Today, for 20 to 30 minutes, we'll be doing a brief brainstorming to seek suggestions, recommendations, and seek questions from all of you, which we'll incorporate and address in our upcoming live wire on 23rd May at 9 p.m. UAE time, wherein our two HR thought leaders and I will be sharing with you the top 5 global best practices to normalize workplace post-COVID-19 and take organization and business to better than past glories. MESHRM, Middle East Society for Human Resource Management, which is part of Global Society for Human Capital Management, or HCM. The emerging Global HR Society has been organizing HR conferences, seminars, HR Majlis, HR mentoring programs, annual awards. This year on New Normal, we have launched our LinkedIn Live called MESHRM Live Wire. Apart from webinars, this Live Wire is a platform wherein every week we will bring to you the global best practices, newer concepts, success stories, brainstorming session of industry specific challenges, legal, labor compliances, and issues of countries and region specific. This initiative is part of our Global Society of HCM vision, one world, one community. Let me take this opportunity today to introduce our two HR thought leaders. And these are esteemed speakers from Europe, Asia. And the first thought leader is Ms. Esther Comabella. Ms. Esther is People Director at Barcelona, Spain. She is one of the leading HR professionals with over 2 decades of work experience and has led HR function across Europe, EMEA region. She is spearheading post-COVID normalization of workplace at Europe, and she is also supporting hundreds of HR leaders across Europe to bring back their HR function and business to past glory. Our second thought leader speaker is Mr. Shubhu Warrior. Shubhu is Chief Human Resource Officer, and he is also an ex-LRI alumni. He currently leads HR function for a specialized manufacturing business hub in India and has worked for organizations like L&T and Mahindra. He brings over 2 decades of work experience in hardcore HCM, that is human capital management. He is currently leading his organization and his business and supporting hundreds of HR leaders in India and Asia to get their business functions back to its feet and to past glories. So welcome, Shubhu, and welcome, Esther. Esther, I request you to first give us a brief introduction before we jump into the main topic.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Sandy, for this opportunity. As you mentioned, I am working currently as head of HR in EMEA for a multinational engineering. So obviously, currently from 2 months, we are working really, really hard on support our business dealing with COVID situation in terms of the people we have in our subsidiaries, supporting in working on remote for all people, obviously health and safety, and enhancing this communication within the teams, in the distance or on remote. So I hope we can bring some light to other colleagues in HR or generally businesses in how we can help with the COVID situation and post-COVID situation.
Thank you, Esther, for this brief introduction, and our sincere condolences to the many deaths the Europe is witnessing, and especially in Spain, the condition does not look quite good right now. Can you tell us about how things are spanning and how things are in current state in this Corona age? We call it the COVID-19 age.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, in EMEA, in MEA, we have different realities. We are managing with 17 countries within the region. So it means that every country has different needs and different situations within COVID. So from our perspective, it means that we need to go one by one, analyzing and understanding what is the reality in each one of the countries according to the impact of the COVID within each one of them. Obviously, in Europe, we have been hardly hit by COVID. So it means that we have to work really close with all managers dealing with this technology challenges on remote working, and obviously in how deal with tough situations regarding communication, regarding protecting our employees against COVID when visiting someone or when making some installation, for example, now that activity is starting again, how we protect our employees and how we take care of them. No, for example, these are the main topics in EMEA region according to the current situation we have with COVID. These are the main topics we are dealing with.
Thanks, Esther. Shibu, I will now put you in the hot seat. Can you first tell us about what you're doing and what's your current role and how you're adding value to the business? And then the next question obviously will be this: tell us about how things are spanning in India and Asia for the coronavirus.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me for this conversation. It's always a privilege to speak with stalwarts like you. Of course, thanks for the kind words, of course, in terms of the introduction as well. For me, it's a new experience because this is one of my first stints into the manufacturing space, and ever since I've joined, the economy has been going through a lot of turmoil, and the COVID situation is something that would have surprised all of us. Forget people like me who are new to manufacturing, and frankly speaking, we operate in an industry which needs people in the factories, and the current situation is not allowing us to do that. So the current struggle, of course, is to get back on track, get the necessary approvals from the government, and get the plants started. So that's one of the first few challenges that we have just gone through. The good news, of course, is that slowly and steadily regions and areas within India are opening up, and there are a couple of advantages that we have because we have one plant in Thailand as well, which has been operational during this particular phase. And some of our other facilities, like the three big manufacturing facilities in Aurangabad, are slowly and steadily opening up. But then it comes with its own set of challenges on the business side, because there is a lot of interplant activity that happens. And we are in the bearing space, right? So once we are creating bearings, and in case of there is any interrelationships between the plants, and if one component is created at one plant and the other plant is supposed to take care of the other aspect, if all our plants are not open at all points in time, it becomes a challenge in terms of satisfying our customers. And as Esther was also speaking up, there are areas within the US and the European market which are opening up steadily, and most of our OEM customers are based in these locations. So now that their factories are opening up, there is a very clear need for some of the suppliers like us also to operate at its best efficiency and start delivering so that they can also produce. So those are the current challenges that we're facing. It's interesting times. Personally, I believe that this is an opportunity for all of us to learn and really learn something which is very different, and this is a once in a lifetime kind of an opportunity for you to face challenges, and secondly also create or recreate an organization that you were possibly not able to in the past 15-20 years. This is one of those opportunities that has presented itself. So
thank you, Shibu. One interesting thing that I need to take your thoughts on is India is 1.35 billion population country, and the whole world was watching with very eagerly to hear news from India that in terms of, and their healthcare is not up to the mark as developed nations. And it was expected that from India, there will be at least over 1 to 10 millions of cases will be there in the first cycle itself. And there was a possibility of over 1 million deaths. But on the contrary, we can see that the number of infection as of the figure, what it says, is over 100,000. It just surpassed. And the deaths are approximately 3,000 as of now. So how this happened, on the one side, you have seen China, taking a huge toll initially. And then it was expected that after China, it was the India, which was the biggest population, should take the major hit in terms of infections and the deaths. Whereas infection and deaths have gone high extremely, and it was so sad, but unfortunate. It spiked very high in Europe, and then we could see in UK, and then it spanned out towards America, which is now leading. So just give us a thought that what happened, in this, so that the people, they understand that what's going on in India right now.
It's a good question. Sandeep, there are no easy answers to the question that you asked. I think one of the first, I'm speaking in favor of the government, despite being a very densely populated country, the way India has managed to manage this COVID crisis in the country seems to be quite superior relative to the kind of infrastructure that it has. So the way the Prime Minister and even the local state governments, the way they have tried to manage the issue, and then frankly speaking, at this point in time, we are looking at lockdown, which is the fourth version of the lockdown, and then that, frankly speaking, has been a good way of looking at, or rather attempting to flatten the curve. Flattening the curve has been the intent, but at the same time, with the kind of infrastructure that we have, the facilities that we have, the assumption was that the numbers are going to be significantly higher in terms of infection rates as well as mortality. But fortunately, we have been able to manage that to a much lower extent. Is there a space where we can improve on this? Absolutely. I think there are many things that we possibly could have done better. But it's always easier to speak in retrospect, and when you're currently handling the situation, it's always much more difficult. So the good part is that the central government has decided to provide certain relief measures to even the industry. And incidentally, that was one of the biggest issues that the industry was facing, that it was not possibly seeing enough efforts being put in that direction. And fortunately, now that we are seeing some movement in that direction, I think things should progress better. My sense is that the numbers will go up significantly higher, possibly over the next few weeks, once we open up the economy even further. But there is this fine balance that needs to be managed between reviving the economy and controlling the disease as well. So there are various pros and cons that people are speaking of. Very difficult to find out what is the right way of going about it, but there are a lot of other countries which are possibly showing us the path and showing us the way to manage this better. Hopefully we'll all learn. And frankly speaking, some of these measures start at an individual level as well. So me as an individual, my unit as a family, and then the neighborhood that we are operating in, the organization that we are working in, then you go to the state and the nation. Rather than saying that what is the nation doing, I think possibly if some of us start focusing at the individual levels and start creating a culture of ensuring that we are managing the situation better, possibly that's the right way of looking at it. I don't know if I have answered that question.
Yes, perfectly. Esther, to you the same question. How this happened that suddenly we've seen the coronavirus in China, and then suddenly we saw that huge spike coming in Europe, and it spanned from Italy to Spain to France, and suddenly then it spiked in UK. How did it happen? As far as I know, what I have traveled in Europe, the medical facility amenities of Europe is much more better than in Asia.
Understand or to know the reasons why it happened so quickly and why from China to Europe and then to India. Obviously, it's strange because we saw it in China, but we weren't able to predict that this could arrive to Europe or to expand to the whole world. So we suddenly were hit with that, and obviously it has had a big impact in business, in economy. Obviously, each country, as I mentioned before, has managed it in a different way according to the infections that they had, and obviously accordingly to the capacity of the health system or authorities to deal with infections and the situation. But generally, a lockdown has been one of the solutions that most governments has applied to freeze a little bit and to stop the increasing of the infections. But obviously, the economy should continue. We need to be active in the economy. So balancing health and economy, it's really difficult. And for authorities, I can't believe that it is it's a tough moment to decide not to balance how to deal with the economy, to the ongoing of the economy of the country, and at the same time to take care and to prevent their population against COVID. And obviously,
Right.
we are currently in this situation, and especially trying to avoid another wave that it is predicted to come in autumn. So we will see. We need to be really cautious on this side.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. We together we overcome on that. One more, the one thing which I would like to update with Shibu and Esther and to all community is Middle East, specifically United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait and other countries. They have taken a huge safety measures post the huge spike of COVID cases in China and then in Europe. And because of these measures, we can see that the government in UAE and in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Oman and other countries, they have been able to arrest the infections to extremely lower mortality rates. And I would loudly can say that the government of these countries, where Middle East, especially the GCC countries, and to take it the most spearheading countries, that the Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Oman, they have been putting a lot of stringent measures in terms of mixing of people, that is so that they can control the community transmission and to keep the curve flattened. And they have come out with a huge measures in terms of sanitization, sanitization all across the street, all across the cities. And they have ensured that their health inspectors are being sent in the labor camps, in the industries, in the companies, and they put a lot of penalties and all. And this is because of one of the reasons which you see that United Arab Emirates is the first country in the world, you can see that they have started operationalizing the air traffic, and they're the first countries in terms of in terms of how to manage the COVID. They've been able to make the economy open on the stages. They are taking such a lead. So now, when the question comes to opening the economy, there lies the meat where we need to discuss, because we will be carrying out this discussion on 23rd of May at 9 p.m. UAE time. And with you, we will be presenting the top 5 global best practices to bring businesses and organizations to normalcy, which we are saying #back to work. And we will be discussing each one of these best practices and sharing how they are being implemented in Europe, US, Asia, and Middle East. Now, coming to the today's discussion, we are requesting the viewers to kindly share their thoughts, ideas, and views and opinions, so that we can make the discussion on 23rd a rich discussion. So give us a small flavor of what is coming up on 23rd, Esther.
Well, we will talk about, do you want me to mention these 5 big bases? We will talk about...
We will keep it confidential, and
okay.
we'll give them just a flavor of it.
Then I shut up. Well, we will try to bring our experience in the dealing with the COVID, and how companies should be prepared and should face the new situation post-COVID, because obviously COVID has changed the way we manage our companies, our teams, our businesses. So we will try to give some approach of this basis for managing after or post-COVID. I don't know if you were asking me that, Sandeep.
Yes, I was asking around that question. So what are we going to give them a solution in which area? Just give us a broad view, 1 or 2 topics.
Oh, okay. I think the common topic is remote working, how to manage, how to prepare teams from a technology point of view and from a cultural point of view to work remotely. Health and safety, it's a must, obviously. How it changed the culture, and how companies will need to shape the culture and the teams, that the communication, internal and external communication, for example, can be one of the topics. So I don't know, perhaps Shivu can complete this part.
Shivu, Esther is putting you in the hot seat now.
I think both, not only Esther, actually Sandeep, you, me, Esther, all are students in this journey, and frankly speaking, all of us are facing this issue for the first time. So it's something that we will explore together, and my expectation from the session later on, the actual event, is that I get an opportunity to share my perspectives, and I would love to learn the perspectives of the viewers who will come and participate in this conversation. Broadly, there are a couple of roles that HR plays as far as business is concerned. One of them, of course, is to act as an enabler to ensure that we create the right atmosphere, the culture for organizations to operate in this current scenario. That's one, of course. And I think at some level, we need to expand our business partnering capabilities and see where is it that we can contribute in ensuring that the businesses come back to normal. Not necessarily just to normal, but also create a new way. I mean, everybody seems to be speaking about this term called as a new normal, and the thought process is that life is not going to be the same. So if life is not going to be the same, organizations definitely have to adapt and change themselves to ensure that they survive. And frankly speaking, in the current situation, some of us will survive, some of us will die. So it's going to be a fight of the fittest. And in this journey, I think we should try and support all our HR colleagues as well as the business colleagues to ensure that we all survive and flourish as well in this current scenario. I think that's what we would like to bring to the table. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, we will not keep it extremely, the discussion of the 5 global best practices, which is coming up on 23rd. We'll just give them a flavor and a broad headings of what is coming up and who's going to take what on the 5 global best practices. The first is going to be the business revitalization and sustainability initiatives. So Shibu is going to talk on this, and he's going to give a lot of thought-provoking ideas and thought leaderships that how you can drive and how you can drive the business and make the lot of initiatives, sustainable initiatives launched in your organization. And the next is Esther for you, remote working initiatives. So a lot of people have been asking us some queries with regard to remote working. I've spoken to a lot of people on remote working that how effective it is going, though it is changing the way businesses have been running on before, but it is bringing along with it a lot of other nuances. One of them is quality of work life and extreme stress, which a lot of people are quoting us on this. So Esther is going to take this. Then the next will be the health and safety practices, which we all will be sharing our thoughts, ideas, that how you can implement employee health and safety measures in your organization. Then we'll have management practices. Shibu is going to take lead on this. Management practices, what all kind of good management practices you can implement in your respective organization. And the last, which is very, very important, is culture and communication practices. Esther is going to take. So I've just given them a small overview, Esther. So we are not keeping it confidential. So we welcome all viewers in LinkedIn on 23rd of May at 9 p.m. of United Arab Emirates to come and join us for this wonderful discussion. Learn about this 5 global best practices if you wish to bring your businesses back to normalcy and to make them even greater than before. So with this, we would like to close and we would like to hear a small concluding words from both Esther and Shibu. We are on spot on time, 1100 hours. So, and around 9:30 and around 10 or 10:30 in UAE time. And Shibu, would you like to say a few words before we conclude this? And we welcome all. Come and join us on 23rd.
I'll take your advice and really make my words as few as possible. I am looking forward to the conversation. I'm sure we'll have a very interesting set of discussions. I'm sure there will be people who will come and interact with us and possibly help us also learn a few new things that we are already not aware of.
Thanks, Shibu. Esther, your take on the discussion which is coming up on 23rd.
Well, just to finish, I think it will be a really interesting conversation, a really interesting meeting. Obviously, all proposals, questions would be really interesting because we can provide more information, and we can also, on the other side, enrich with more information, experiences from other HR or other colleagues in different countries. So yeah, finally, COVID has changed our lives, personal and professional. So it will be a pleasure to discuss about it on next Friday.
Brilliant. So we would conclude this our brainstorming session here. And on behalf of MESHRM, we thank you, and we thank you on behalf of Global Society of Human Capital Management at CM. And we will come back on our MESHRM Live Wire on 23rd of May at 9 p.m. UAE time. And we will all LinkedIn viewers and MESHRM members would love to hear the top 5 global best practices back to normalcy post COVID-19. Good night, and look forward to seeing you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.